ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಭಾಷಣ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಇಷ್ಟ. ಆದರೆ ಅತಿಥಿ ದೇವೋಭವ ಇರುವ ನಾವು ಭೂಮಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸಂತೋಷಪಡಿಸಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾನು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಮರಿದುಂಬಿಯಾಗಿ ಮೇಣ್ಕೋಗಿಲೆಯಾಗಿ ಪುಟ್ಟುಪುದು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ದೇಶದೋಳು ಇದ್ದರೂ ಸಹಿತ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠರು. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಸಜ್ಜನಿಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಬೈ ದ ವೇ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ THY, ಐ ಆಮ್ TY, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ವೆರಿ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ಲೇಡೀಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಜೆಂಟಲ್ಮನ್. Jayashree, being a sister, always wants to exaggerate. You know, you have to exaggerate your sibling. And I give a drop to Jayashree, pick up and drop. She doesn't want to get me angry. So she said all positive things. So that's really not true. I am from Hubli. I am extremely proud about it. I always tell Mr. Murthy that you built Infosys because you are married to a girl from Hubli. I tell my nephew Pawan Deshpande, who is building a company, that he also will be successful, not because I know the product or market strategy, because he is married to a girl from Hubli. My daughter-in-law Smita is here only. Anyway, for the last 15 years I am with Infosys Foundation. It has given me tremendous pleasure. Actually, it has made me to understand what I am. I have dedicated one of my book to Infosys Foundation, and someone told me, Infosys Foundation is not a living organization. Why you have to dedicate that book to an organization? I said, probably whatever I am today, it's only because of Infosys Foundation. Number one, it showed me what my country is. India is not a $1 billion software export. It is not a catwalk on the ramp. It is not a Bollywood saga. It is a country with many contradictions, complex and also beautiful, enchanting. Actually, I'm really envy of all of you who are going to Badami tomorrow, because the one place my heart resides there. It's such a beautiful place. If you go there, there are many inscriptions on the stone which says how a human being should be there, how a Kannada person was there in 620 AD. So India is not like what you see. It's really complex. If you think it's simple, it's not simple. If it is complex, it's really in a way not complex. It is art, I think. Art of living is generated only in India. It started in India, because if you travel 150 kilometers in our country, I hope I have 45 minutes time, because being a teacher, until the next bell rings, I have to talk, and my hour is only 45 minutes. So 150 kilometers you travel in India in any direction, you come across a different culture, different language, different food habits, different customs, different beliefs. It is not a country, it is a continent. I can tell you from Kashmir to Kanyakumari in my travel, how by and large, how people can behave in each state without any bias. For example, the state of Gujarat, I don't know how many of you are from state of Gujarat here, is number one state in India where philanthropy is concerned. They are extremely sensitive than any other state. It has the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi, Kasturbai, Mahadev Ranade, many people, and that has become a part of their culture. If you think of the best health projects in India is Tamil Nadu. Anybody is from Tamil Nadu, they can understand the government of Tamil Nadu executes the best health policy than any other state. If you want literature, literary quality, good quality of literature, then it's a Bengal. Every state is so different. So working in India, you have to understand our country first. That means you have to understand to some extent the history of our country. I'm not telling you that you have to read history, take a course and then join, but you must understand why people behave in the same different way in 150 kilometers. And again, the priority for the work, the culture for the work is so different. If you are doing any project in the coastal belt, I'm Karnataka, I'm talking about with respect to Karnataka, because I have only 45 minutes, so I have to talk most of the time Karnataka. If you travel in the coastal belt of Karnataka, then the culture is so different as far as work is concerned, work ethic, and particularly in a non-profit organization. Actually, I work most there and spend least time there. If you work in Hyderabad, Karnataka, there is Ballari, Gulbarga, Bidar, Humnabad, Yadgiri, etc., that area, Koppal, up to Koppal, which was under Nizam, it's not the Mughalai, the culture is different. If you work in British Karnataka or Bombay Karnataka, our state, our districts, our culture is different. So in one state only you have 4 different cultures, and once you go to cross Tungabhadra river, south of Bangalore, south of river is so different. So it is very important to know which part of the country, which part of the state you are working, and then you have to talk with respect to that your non-profit organization, what exactly you want, is it possible to achieve, what is the success rate, etc. For example, any literary project if I introduce in coastal Karnataka, the success rate is 95 to 98%, and the same project, the success rate is between 70 to 80% in Uttar Karnataka, that is our North Karnataka, and it is between 50 and 60 in Mughalai Karnataka. It goes on varying. Actually, as a head of an NGO, I learned many things. That the first lesson was, if you want to work in a state, you must know what exactly you want to do. Though my topic they have given me, I said, I never talk to the topic. The reason is what I have learned without any book, with interacting with people, that I want to tell, and that experience I want to share. And of course I will talk Badalagottiruva Drishtikona. I can spell it without any problem. Okay? This is the first thing you should understand. Second thing, you should never do anything totally free to anybody, including your children. No, don't do. You can get everything in life except parents' love. They are all really true, but don't do it free, because it really becomes extremely expensive at the end. So always you assign certain amount of money. What I want water in a glass. Oh, that way. Highly high tech, No, I want in a glass. Glass is fine. You should never do any project free with anybody, because free is never respected. Free has its own backlog. Free has its own expensive methodologies to find out. Never do that. I'll give you a small example. I grew up in a village known as Shiggaon, 30 kilometers from Hubli, and I was extremely fond of Atlas. That is school Atlas, and it was not available in our village. So I said once, when I grow up, if I have money, I'll buy a lot of Atlas and give it to every school, because there may be many children like me, they would like to read the Atlas. The intention was genuine, methodology was wrong. So I bought a lot of Atlas and I gave it to many schools, and I always assumed, they are using and the children are enjoying. After a year or two, once I was traveling in some village, it was evening time, 5 o'clock, it was groundnut season, in village you get groundnut, they sell in the evening 5 o'clock. If you are from village, you will understand that. Fresh groundnut. So I went to one, I was on the road and I said, can I have half a kg of groundnut? That fellow weighed and told me, you take it. I said, I don't have any bag. So there was there was no plastic bag there, and it was good there was no plastic bag. Then he said, if you have in a paper, you give it to me. He said, I don't have. Then I said, then I don't want. He said, he never wanted to lose a customer like me. He said, okay, don't worry. He tells somebody, there is a lady, foolish lady by the name Sudhamurti. She has given Atlas. That paper is very good. Tear 2 pages. Okay, bring it here and we can put the groundnuts on that. That time I realized, anything you give free, people will misuse. Next time onwards I said, okay, 2 rupees. It will may cost me 200, but I will charge at least 2 rupees or maybe 10 rupees, some range, then only I will give it to you. I can give you numerous examples, because I work in 6 states in India: Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Orissa, Maharashtra, and off late, in Punjab. I can give numerous examples, every state. Thank you very much. Every state, the methodology is different, but people will not respect anything you give free. This is the second lesson I learned in philanthropy. Third one, I will tell you, people do not how people change their mindset once you start giving, because if there is no exit policy, then how people take advantage of the situation. I used to come to my office every day, and one boy I saw on the road, smart boy, every day when there is a traffic light and my car will stop, he will come and he will ask me every day without fail a pair of shoelace. And I will tell him, no, I don't want, because I wear chappals. But he will ask. And I always felt that boy is very smart. And one day, once if you are a woman and if you are a teacher and you are a computer system analyst, you talk 3 times more than a normal person. And I'm teacher, I'm a female, and I was also a system analyst. So 2 to the power of 3 I can talk. So I talked to him and I asked him, what's your name? Some name, he said. Then I said, what do you study? He said, no, I go to school, but I can't study much because morning to evening I have to stand here and sell shoelaces. I said, how much profit do you make? I said, I sell about 10 rupees per day, or some 20 rupees per day. Actually, he told me 20 rupees per day. Then I told him, look, I will give you 600 rupees per month. You go to school. Then again I have a methodologist to check. I said, but you have to come every month and take the money from my office. And once in a year you have to show me your progress report. He said, okay, and every month he will come first week. He will take to 600 rupees, and once in a quarter he will show his progress report, 6 months, 1 year, it went on. After 3 years, my secretary said he wants to meet me. I said, he's doing well, why he wants to meet me? No, he's very particular that he wants to meet you. Actually, when people say they want to meet me, I get scared actually for various reasons. One is, what is the next application? That is always in my mind. Second thing is that they call me for some function, because I really feel I cannot talk other than the subject anything else. Someone called me for a medical conference. I said, what can I talk in medical conference? So I really don't understand why people have to invite me for subject which I am not related. So I said, anyway, this boy, why is asking? Anyway, let me go and meet him. I met him. He tells me, ma'am, here afterwards you have to give me 900 rupees. I said, why? He said, the shoelace price has gone up by 10 rupees. 30 rupees a pair of shoelace. Actually, there's a big principle behind that. Then I realized when you give free, and if you don't make an exit policy, I should have told him, look, you will get 600 rupees for next 3 years, or you will get until you finish your 10th class. I mean, you should be very clear when you make, particularly in all NGO or non-profit organization, any memorandum of understanding. It's not on the paper. At least you should be very clear what you are doing, and you should convey it to the correct communication to the other party. And most of the time we go wrong, because it is not a sales office of commodity. I make 100 watches per day, 30 days, 3,000 watches. It is not that. You are dealing with human beings, and no, you cannot predict human beings' behavior. Under stress, under money, there are many sayings are there in our ancient Veda that when you get money, what happens? What happens? People behave like a drunkard person because it goes to your head. I used to say, oh, it's just written. It's really true. Most of the time when money is there, or when there is a stress situation is there, when the desperate situation is there, how people behave is very difficult to predict. And it varies from culture to culture. And that's the reason I said you must know the culture of the state. So when you communicate it to the other party, if we are going to work, following are the MOU and very clear, extremely clear about what you cannot do than what you can do. What you cannot do, you should know. Number 4, we should never ever think that we can change overnight any social situation. It takes time. This lesson my father taught me, because I used to work with the sex workers. Sangamitra will understand that how hard it is to work with sex workers, and what complicated methodologies are available there, and how they get into problem, what makes them to get into that, all that. And my father taught me this one. He said, in your life you can change 10 sex workers' life and make them to lead a normal life. I'll be very glad that I gave birth to a daughter who could change someone's life. Don't think that I will change this 1,000 people at a time. It's not possible, because unfortunately sex workers, corruption and alcohol take longer duration to erase than any other thing, which in my experience is always in 1 digit success rate than any other projects which I have done. Any education project, we can go up to 90%, 98%, but working with sex workers, because it's extremely difficult, not difficult, human-related problem. So when you have human-related organization problems, your success rates depends on many factors, and one of the component is your passionate and your consistent effort, but it is not all. It is necessary condition, but it is not the sufficient condition. Please understand that. I want to talk about ಬದಲಾಗುತ್ತಿರುವ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನ. Okay, particularly this. I still half an hour time. This is a true incident. I teach in Bangalore University computer science. I used to teach for a long time. For the last 3 years I am not teaching because I have become more irregular than my own students because of my workload, and I really don't get time. And students taught me a lot of things. This is ಬದಲಾಗುತ್ತಿರುವ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನ. In this context I want to tell. When I tell this incident, actually the person, it happened between me and my student, and he told me to quote this example in any of my speech because this is the best example of changing view. About 15 years back, in any college, I'm sure some college teachers are here, Ashok is here. So we have a last final day, goodbye day. I don't know, Ashok, how is the college day now in BUB? When I was there, they used to give Shira and Uppittu. I was to look forward for that actually. You will give a meal or depending on whatever you have, college has. And in Christ College where I teach, it's a Catholic college where we have a sermon. Father will give a sermon and then I will give another sermon. Okay. Father will give a sermon from Bible, whereas I will give a sermon from my stories. So once I told a story to my students that in life nothing is important, compassion is very important. Nothing is not correct, but compassion is a part of your life. It should not be like I will be only compassionate. You should work, but without compassion, your work will be like a golden flower without fragrance, etc. and all those. Then I told a story for that saying that in olden days, in Buddha's Jataka story, the story comes. There were two kings. One was the king of Kashi and the other was the king of Kosala. And they never liked each other, and they were traveling in opposite direction. And in those days, there was no golden corridor, 4-line roads were not there. There was only a single line cart road, and they met each other, and they were not in talking terms. So their charioteers started talking. They said, King of Kashi's charioteer said, "Oh, my king is very great. He has 1,000 elephants." That fellow also said, "My king is great. He has 1,000 elephants." So whatever this fellow says, he said the same thing is there. So who has to give the way? Because both were equal. At the end, King of Kashi said, "My king is the one who will punish the wrong people, who will help good people, and he will love those people who are useful to the society." And the king of Kosala said, "My king corrects people who are wrong. My king protects everybody, and he loves including enemy." By listening to that, King of Kashi said, "He is the greater person than me. Please give him the first. Allow him to pass first." So this story I always telling that in life, it is not what you earn is important, how much elephant you have in those days, or how many Mercedes Benz you have is not important, how many houses you have built is not important, how much bank balance you have is not important. You should have a compassionate heart, which is essentially then you are a human being, otherwise you are not a human being. You are like one of those people who are born, who earn and who die. So this is what Buddha taught us 3,000 years back. So I told my students when they were going that please remember here afterwards your syllabus is not fixed. Every day you are appearing for the examination. This is the way how you should conduct, etc. After the class was over, I am very friendly with my students. If you are friendly, then they like your subject. That's what I have realized. Most people do not like mathematics because they don't like their teachers. Okay. So I said I am very friendly with my students, and one of my students came back and told me, "Ma'am, I don't agree with you." I said, "Okay, why you don't agree? Let us argue about it." He said, "Ma'am, your stomach is full. Your husband has made good money, so you can sit and talk about charity, compassion, etc. And it's an open discussion. Whereas I don't believe in it. I always believe in competition, going at the top at any expense, because it's extremely competitive world. You don't know how the outside world." I said, "Once upon a time, I was also young." Okay. He said, "You don't know that time the things were different. Today it's extremely competitive. Every generation thinks next generation is very competitive. Actually, when you go to pyramids in Memphis, I think, in Egypt, it's not on the main pyramid, it's one of the smaller pyramid. There it is written on the left side, next generation is lazy, they are spendthrift, okay, they are extremely competitive, they don't have compassion. Then I felt so nice. Everybody thinks, my father used to think about me that I think about my children the same way. So this is time immemorial, it is there. So my student told me, ma'am, your time were different, my time is different, you are very competitive, you must always take advantage of every situation, go at the top, make a lot of money, all those things he told me. And I said, I disagree with you, you have to work hard, you should be competitive, you agree, but not at the expense of without compassion. So we disagreed. Then he said, okay, I said, if God willing, inshallah, I always believe, inshallah is such a good phrase, if God agrees to do that one, we'll meet some other time. And he said, I will prove you are wrong, and I was right. I said, I was very happy because traditionally our script says, for a teacher, the greatest defeat should come from a student, not from anybody else. If my student proves I'm wrong, I'll be very, very proud that I produced a student who was better than me. So otherwise also I have an advantage. Head I will win, tail I will lose, that can be either way I will do. I'll be very happy. 10 years, 12 years passed. He got a very good job also. And time flew, I became more old and he became middle-aged, and after so many years, I got a call. My student secretary said, one of your students would like to meet you. I said, no morning time, no time, but students, I will never say. Old wine, old memories, old students are precious and rare. I said, I will not miss any of my students. I said, okay, who is that? Normally I remember my students, and I said, okay, let him come. He came. He was young. He was now 35 years old. Smart, middle-aged, approaching, little baldness, little belly, happy. I thought he'll be happy, but he wasn't. I can make out. So he said, how are you? General thing, how are you? How are these? And then he said, okay, what are you doing? He said, I am in Singapore. I built my own company. I have 200 people. Then I said, how many children do you have? Because I'm old-fashioned, I ask how many children do you have. I think in a new generation should not ask, because it's a personal space and personal matters, which in India we don't understand. In Hubli we will never understand. Because in Hubli we have community living. Everybody's house, what happens I will be knowing. Even after living Hubli for 38 years, I know who is who ran away, who ran after whom, okay, all those details. Because I am from Hubli, and about me everybody knows. How I met Murthy, how I got married in 800 rupees, everyone knows. Hubli, everyone knows my personal things and my professional things. But that is my place, and we live like that happily, without any complaint. So, but I am an old-fashioned person, so I asked him, how many children you have? I have one daughter. How is your wife? He pulled up his purse and showed. In college he used to go out with a girl, but this wife was different. Maybe because I belong to that generation, if you go to the boy, you have to marry him only, you don't have a choice. Anyway, he was married to somebody very good looking, like a model kind of a girl. I said, how is everything? He said, oh, I have bought a house in Delhi, in Defense Colony, supposed to be courts, a good area. Bangalore, Sadashivanagar, good area. Bombay, Worli, good area. I said, do you have 3 houses in a 3 courts area? You have a wife who may be 30 but looks like 20. You have a daughter who is 7 but very pretty. You have built a company. I think you must be top of the world. And you have come to tell me that, ma'am, you were wrong and I was right. He said, but still you look gloomy. What is that? Badalaguttiruva drishtikona. I wanted to know whether my eyes have changed or his eyes have changed. He said, madam, I am unhappy and that's the reason I have come. When you are unhappy, you come to your mother, not other time. When you are unhappy, you come to your teacher also. So I said, what's the matter? You tell me. Because I don't belong to your generation, let me understand. He says, I am married to a girl from a very rich family because her father was a big man. And he was very open with me. If you are not open with your doctor, lawyer and your teacher, then you will never get the correct solution. Then he told me, I always met someone who was advantage to my business. I always had a deal with someone who will be a step in my ladder. I never made friendship with anybody else because it's a waste of time for me. Talking to someone casually, how is that? what is the today's lunch? Okay, you need not talk lunch, you talk. Men think they always talk, all men should excuse me, they always think they talk more important and women talk less important. Actually, both of them talk the same thing. Men talk cricket, we talk sorry, there's no difference. Okay? And men always think that they're very, decisive, powerful, they can amend anything. Actually, they're under that impression. But the woman who makes everything. Okay? We give that impression to men, oh, you are the Lord, but you are not. They are not. He says, I made all these connections, this and that. In the process, what happened? He says, my wife is not friendly with me. I said, how much time you spent with your wife? He said, I got her a Mercedes-Benz car. I said, no, I didn't ask what you bought for her. What did you do? He said, what did you take her out? Did you listen to her difficulties? Did you listen to her loneliness? Did you talk to her? He said, oh, women always complain, so I didn't bother. And I did talk to her whenever she was very important to me that time. I said, okay, what is next then? He said, my daughter talks to me only when she wants something from me. I said, what's wrong? Like you, like father, like daughter. Those are new proverbs, no? Like mother, like daughter, no. Like father, like daughter, I told. Then he says, no ma'am, it hurts me. I said, why should hurt? That means, am I like a tap to my child? When she wants something, she can open the tap and get the water. When she doesn't want, she can close. I said, did you not use people in the same way? Did you make friendship with somebody because someone needs you? No, you made friendship because you needed them. And you should excuse me because I'm very frank with you, I told him. Otherwise, I can be very nice to you. Oh, everything is great, something wrong with your wife, something wrong with your father-in-law first. All these things. No, I will not do that. Because I'm always open and straight, and that is my policy. Probably the policy I learned from Hubli, that you should be open and straight all the time, even though you are not practically shrewd and intelligent. Doesn't matter. But you can go to bed without any problem. So I told him that you have given the way. Children does not require Narayan Murthy as a role model. Children they don't require J.R.D. Tata as a role model. Their parents are their role model. Please remember, you are role models to your children. So your daughter has taken you as a role model. Then I said, what is next? Then he says, I felt very sorry. I feel I have everything, but I feel I am a traveler traveling in a lonely road in a desert without oasis. I feel so thirsty. I have everything, but I cannot drink. I am tired. I don't know what is that exactly missing, and that's the reason I come to you. I said, I am not a philosopher to find out, or a psychiatrist to find out where you have gone wrong. I can't understand. But one thing my experience has taught, particularly from foundation, the more you share, the richer you are. The more you give, the richer you are. The more you have compassion to people, more happy you are. I am not telling I am doing this foundation work so that many people are benefited. I am doing this work because I am benefited. I am tremendously benefited to know what life is, how beautiful it is, and how many people are not fortunate. They don't have hands, they don't have legs, they don't have eyes. How fortunate we are, God has given us so many proper normal human life. I am so fortunate that I got a great education in a great institute like BVB. Everything becomes a sunshine to me. And this is a lesson I have learned with compassion, and that I learned when I interact with poorest of the poor people. They taught me the greatest lessons in life. More the money, not more the merry. More the many, more self-centering, you are going to suffer one or other day. We had a chat, and then I said, you require some compassion in life. He said, ma'am, you were right, I lost the bet. I said, no, there's nothing like losing and all. When my students fail, is as good as I have failed, because I did not give them a proper direction. I said, your failure is my failure, so it is not that. Then he said, I went to a psychiatrist. He said, you must generate compassion within your heart. He said, so I went to one of the Somalia, African countries. I said, Infosys sells banking product everywhere I knew, but we have never gone to Somalia. You are better than us. He said, no ma'am, I went to learn compassion. I said, you cannot better learn compassion going to Somalia. He said, that's exactly what happened to me. Because I went to Somalia, it seems there is organized tours. You go and see the orphanages in Somalia, go and sympathize with Somalian people. So he went there, and when I went and met those orphan children suffering from HIV/AIDS, my mind never thought of compassion about their life, but it thought in a different way. My mind was thinking, what is the export of Somalia if the land is good? Can we get something of the iron ore or some ore, I don't know, what are the kind of trees are available? I was thinking all the time about export or business, but never those children made me to move. And he said, ma'am, what happens, suppose you go there? I said, don't worry about me, you talk about your things now. What made you to move? He said, many things I tried to move. When I look at beggars, nothing moves. Nothing moves. And I have come to you. Tell me what makes me to move in life. I told him, I can't teach you. I can teach you computer science, but I cannot teach you compassion. It should generate within your heart. And how you can generate, everybody has their own methodology, and you have to find out. Maybe I can support when it comes to you to do some work, but I cannot teach you step A, go to a beggar's colony, you will get this feeling, have tears, then you have generated. Nothing I can't do. There is no formula. And I told, that's the reason Krishna in Bhagavad Gita has told 5,000 years back in a beautiful way, who is your best friend? Who is your best friend? Who is your worst enemy? Atmahi atmano bandhur, atmahi ripu atmanaha. Your best friend is you yourself. Who is your worst enemy? You yourself. You have turned your own thing as your enemy. You are not able to generate compassion. And then he told me, ma'am, quote this example in your lecture and tell how people change, badalaguttiruva drishtikona. How people change with time, how people change without compassion, how they suffer, how people change with education, how people become poor with so much of material things around them. The eyes should be sensitive enough to understand when I'm going wrong, how to improve, and what are the methods compared to yesterday, compared to the last month. And your eyes should change not from -1 to -2 power when you grow old. Your eyes towards society, towards compassion, towards sharing, towards caring, and making this short life memorable. Do not think all of us will live 120 years. In our Vedas say that you have one life with 120 years. I have never seen anyone. In senses you can't live 120, okay. We do not know how much lifetime we have. Please understand, out of that 50% we spend in sleeping, and the 25% we spend taking bath, makeup, etc. How much time will be left? And that time, if you do not have compassion and you are born and you have died, just not doing anything to yourself and your society, what a waste of life we are born. Some people are super sensitive, we may not be like them. Like at the age of 8, Nachiketa, the great sage, realized what life is, and he said, I will dedicate my life in the learning. At the age of 20, Buddha realized that's all his life, so short, everything is perishable. What exists, it perishes. Beauty perishes, money perishes. Health perishes faster than anything else. Money over a period of time perishes. What we have is a healthy few years. Use it to make betterment of yourself, family, and also society, the way you look at it. I have seen how India has changed. Last 10 minutes, I will tell you how India has changed over the last 15 years. I can talk about 50 years, I can start from 1952 onwards, etc. But it is better to talk when I became a member of Infosys Foundation. In 15, 16 years, I can tell you. As a child, I have seen in village there was such an abject poverty. It was so difficult to have 2 meals. Today you go to any village in Karnataka, because Bihar and all I don't want to take any responsibility and talk. Karnataka, Maharashtra, I can talk because I'm very Gujarat, I can talk. There is absolutely that kind of a poverty does not exist. Most important thing I have seen, there are so many schools in the villages I have seen. Though there is a power shortage, there are lights. In Karnataka, every state has electricity, I have seen. Gujarat also, every city has electricity, every village has. In the last 15 years, I have seen the mindset changing of the youngsters. mindset changing of youngsters than my age group. 15 years back, I remember, we wanted to make this old cloth drive. We said everybody who does not use your discarded clothes, you can bring and give it to Infosys Foundation, and we will distribute in the slum area. This is when I was very naive. Today I will not tell that. Okay. Today I have changed so much, so my own projects are so different. We got some 10 carton load of material. Me and my 2 secretaries started sorting them. Shoes with only one side. Sari which cannot be worn by anybody. Okay. Sleeveless, backless blouse. Aluminium vessels, which instead of throwing them to the gutter, they thought Infosys Foundation is a better place to live, so they left. In the 10 carton, we could find out about 10 or 12 pants better condition, 5-6 shirts and 2 saris. And then they were stinking with smell, and then we got it cleaned, ironed, we spent a lot more money for all that. Then I said, no more this old clothes drive, let's, we can do better work. And when tsunami hit Tamil Nadu, we got thousands of calls. Are you taking old clothes? I'm so scared of that old clothes. I said, no, I'm not taking. New, we want to buy brand new. In my office, when I said no, there were 1,000 saris, brand new. There were vessels which were very good quality. I can go on telling you how much material we got. At the end I have to put a board, please do not bring any material, because we don't have basement, that kind of a big basement at Infosys Foundation to store all these, because with the trust they have given, and if I don't deliver that to the other end, then I feel guilty within myself. My own conscience doesn't allow me. I said, please do not bring, because all these people who brought this were youngsters of 25 to 30 age. And that made me very happy that India youngsters are changing, because we are all setting sun at 4 o'clock now. How much time we have, we don't know. But people who are in that age group, who are like a rising sun of 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, if they are better human being, more compassionate people, I feel very nice about it. Then I put a board that we do not want to accept any material. Then people started giving us money. And people will come, and one person came, an old man came, actually it's very funny, and he brought one thaili, old kind of cloth thaili actually, a bag. And he said, I want to meet you. We were so busy in working for the tsunami, no time to meet anybody and say, how are you, what is that? No, there's no time that time. So I said, we are not taking any material, please go out, because at times you become rude because of the situation. See, when you go to tsunami, in front of you there are all dead bodies. There you have to execute the job. There you should not become emotional. And as a human being, it becomes so difficult, you should not become emotional. You come across a body with no hands. You come across a body, which is mutilated. You come across a child which is dead. You come across a mother who is howling for a child, and then what you are going to talk? You will tell mother, please don't worry, everything will be all right. You can't talk like that. You become so different actually. The 3 months when I was there, I became a different human being. No talking. I told all my subordinates that we are not going to talk anything. All my people who came with me, you are not going to talk anything, a single word in the morning to evening. If you have to open the mouth only to drink water, nothing else, because you have to suppress your emotion, do the next work. Don't even bother what people are talking to you. So, in such case, this old man comes with a thaili and the old cloth, and I thought he has brought something. I said, I don't have time. He said, ma'am, listen to me. At times, we are also human beings. We are also tired. We are working from 4 a.m. to 12 midnight. I said, I will listen to you after 1 month. Now you go. I will call you. And he left that in my office and he went. And when I come back, my secretary says, ma'am, let's see, did you see what is inside? I said, no, I didn't see. She opens and there are 50,000 rupees. And he has not put a chit, anything. And I felt very strange, and at times I felt ashamed of myself that I did not even, it's not because of money I have to acknowledge. Thank you for bringing this kind of money, but I could not even do that one. And next day, people come and give you money because people think when country is in need, you have to come and give because it's your duty, because this is your country. Actually, I met Mrs. Clinton and I was telling her, in India we have every year natural disaster. We are expert in that. Hurricane, or earthquake, or tsunami. If nothing is there, drought. Okay? We have to be expert in survival of the fittest. I said, you people are not used to, so Katrina comes, you all become so scared and there's so much money and there's so much help and you people don't use. Maybe when it comes next time, we don't wish, but please call us, okay, from India. We know how to handle without even talking, without even, because to maintain your volunteers, you may have to spend a lot more time there, and in India we are born and brought up with that only. You don't get anything, then sleep wherever. Many times we have slept on the railway platform. No problem. Just cover yourself and sleep on the railway platform. Okay? What to do? You don't have option. So situation makes like that. Or in Orissa, I work in Orissa, and when I go there, they are a tribal fisherwoman, and when I come there, they say, we want to give you the best, and the best was fish, and I can't eat fish. So the only thing is now you don't have to fast. So things teach us, many things. So, when a tsunami hit our country, and I got 10 cars. I mean, car and tsunami are not connected. Infosys employees who are just married, and wife says, oh, what is this car you have? It is last year model and you should have this year model. Then the last year model comes to Infosys Foundation. He said, ma'am, you sell and get the money. I got 10 cars, 1 year old. They said, we are buying new car and you sell this and get the money. We got so much money from employees who are leaving Infosys. The last drawn salary will go to Infosys Foundation. We got many fridges. I said, no, best thing is don't give the material. You also sell and give me the money because we don't have time. Our employees always write to me, ma'am, money is not the only thing which we want to give you. We want to work with you. Please tell me, we want to work with you. Tsunami time people came. I did not ask their name. 10 of us will go. And after 20 days, another 10 of them will come. We never knew what's their name. We never know what's their caste. We don't know where they stay. They are our employees. That's all I knew. They will come and work. Andaman and Nicobar people did come and work with us. So that showed me, and people who are going abroad, they said, okay, it doesn't matter, I will lose 2 months salary, but I rather work here. That shows me a confidence that coming generation is better, coming generation is broad-minded, and coming generation has understood what is that meaning of sharing, because probably there are only 2 children at home, they do not know what means sharing, now they want to share. Coming generation knows what it is to be a right human being. Thank you very much for patient hearing.